Coming up on CBC Vancouver News. The push for more police powers.
Our laws have not kept pace with the criminals who break them.
Law enforcement officials applaud new laws to help catch criminals online, while critics say our privacy is at risk. Plus, more than the mass tragedy.
We'll never forget what happened on February 10th. But again, we also need to make sure that people realize Tumbler Ridge is known more than just for that shooting.
Tumbler Ridge takes steps to heal, marking 30 days since the deadly shooting. And waiting to be built.
Our emergency is always at capacity. We need those extra beds.
Half of Burnaby's new hospital is in limbo as the city questions the province's budget and priorities.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hi, I'm Lien Yeung. Thanks for joining us. Police agencies in BC are welcoming new federal legislation that would give them more powers to track suspects online. Bill C-22 would force telecommunications companies to tell investigators if a suspect is using their services. But as Amelia John reports, not everyone is on board. Critics say it puts the public's privacy at risk.
The federal Minister of Public Safety joined by his provincial counterpart in Vancouver to promote Bill C-22, which would give police more powers to track suspected criminals online.
Our laws have not kept pace with the criminals who break them. Technology have moved forward at a pace that we've never seen before.
Ananda Sangri says Canada's laws are falling behind, and this new bill would force telecommunications providers to tell police if a suspect is using their services.
While Bill C-22 is just one step, we believe it is a step in the right direction, one that balances the operational needs of police with the privacy rights of our citizens.
But some lawyers disagree and say there are privacy concerns.
Lowering the bar for access to something that there is a significant privacy interest in, just to make it easier for police when there's an existing regime that allows them to do it, is not the way to achieve these ends.
Civil liberties groups say vulnerable communities could be targeted.
We've seen a number of jurisdictions abuse these types of policing powers to basically crack down on diaspora communities in other jurisdictions, including in Canada.
Political watchers predict Bill C-22 will likely pass, as there have been calls on governments to take action on public safety issues.
There's other pressures from just practical events like Tumbler Ridge, where people are seeing online harm manifest in devastating ways.
Ananda Sangri says because time is of the essence in many investigations, including extortion, money laundering, and child exploitation, swift passage of Bill C-22 is needed to protect Canadians. Amelia John, CBC News, Vancouver.
More than just a shooting. That's the message the mayor of Tumbler Ridge wants Canada and the world to remember about his community. The district held a small ceremony Thursday night to mark 30 days since the mass shooting that took the lives of 8 victims, most of them children. As Janella Hamilton tells us, the community is doing what it can to move forward and heal together.
This makeshift memorial dismantled with care. Community members picking up teddy bears, cards, and flowers. Much of it laid outside Town Hall 30 days ago when Tumbler Ridge changed forever.
The community is all in different stages of what's happened on February 10th. Some are grieving, some are angry.
Last month, a mass shooting left 9 people dead, including the 18-year-old killer who reportedly had struggled with mental health issues. Many of the victims, young children, and an educator from the local high school. On Thursday night, a small ceremony was held, residents observing a moment of silence and prayer. Before the flags outside Town Hall returned to full mast and part of the memorial relocated to a nearby community gathering space. The district's mayor says it's not an end to grief, but a step forward for the community to start the healing process. He says some affected teachers have not yet returned to work, while one of the survivors, 12-year-old Maya Gabala, continues to recover in a Vancouver hospital.
We've lost some loved ones in our community. We had 2 seriously injured. We do have one of those seriously injured members back. Paige is back in our community. It was great to see her come back. Right now, all of our prayers and thoughts are with Maya.
Krakowka says there's no forgetting what happened at Tumbler Ridge Secondary, but he's hopeful as time passes, people will come to know the town for more than the shooting.
That's eventually we need to get back to what Tumbler Ridge is or was.
A coroner's inquest will look into the circumstances surrounding the tragedy as residents of the small northern BC community search for answers amid their grief. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
A Canadian man working as a family doctor in Australia is trying to move his practice back to BC, but he's frustrated, saying Canada won't recognize his credentials. As Katie DeRosa reports, he says it's excessive red tape when BC is desperate for doctors.
Dr. Ihab Chasib reunited with his children for Ramadan.
I would like to move to Canada to get closer to my family and serve the people here in Canada.
Chasib is a Canadian citizen who did his medical training in his home country of Iraq. He's trying to move back to BC from Australia and practice family medicine, but he's blocked by what he calls bureaucratic red tape. That's because he wasn't licensed as a doctor in Australia by a program that was only available to Australian citizens or permanent residents. To practice in BC, he'll have to take 2 years to requalify.
I've been practicing medicine in Australia for more than 7 years now.
Eligible doctors from Australia can be fast-tracked and practice in Canada within about a year because the two countries have similar standards and training. But the College of Family Physicians of Canada basically told Chasib he took the wrong route to becoming a doctor in Australia. The college only fast-tracks doctors licensed under the Australian General Practice Training Program. As a Canadian citizen, Chasib did not qualify. He was accredited under a different fellowship program open to foreigners.
Basically, two pathways getting to the same goal, which is getting the fellowship after passing the exams, which I did.
The college told CBC News it could not comment on Chasib's case for privacy reasons, but said in general the college has strict guidelines about which training programs qualify for the recognized training and certification outside Canada route. BC's health minister has reviewed Chasib's case and encouraged him to work with Health Match BC to explore options.
It's important for us to take every step that we can to improve the process, speed up credentialing, and make it easier for Canadians such as this doctor to be able to return back to Canada and practice.
Chasib's plea comes at a time when BC is moving to fast-track accreditation for internationally trained doctors and nurses, with thousands of British Columbians struggling to find a doctor. For Chasib's 3 children, it's more personal.
Selfishly, I just want my dad back. I think I'm a grown-up, but there's times where you need your dad.
The family has one last hope. Chasib's application will be reviewed by the college's Board of Examinations in June. One more chance to come home for good. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
An Irishman is saying goodbye to his dreams of living in Canada. Dylan Nolan was a social worker at BC Children's Hospital. That's until he found out his work permit had been cancelled without him knowing, and there was a warrant for his arrest. The CBC's Tara Carmen has his story.
Dylan Nolan thought he did everything right in applying to immigrate to Canada. He had a job he excelled at, thought his work permit was in order, was even invited by the province to apply for permanent residence. He and his new husband were planning a life in Vancouver. It all came crashing down in late February when Nolan was arrested outside this pub, put into immigration detention and ordered out of the country. He's still not sure why.
It's just crushing, it was just so crushing because I built my life here, like when I came to Canada, I'd finished university, and I just fell in love with it.
Nolan was a social worker specializing in youth mental health at BC Children's Hospital, caring for some of the most vulnerable youth in the province. His supervisors had wanted him to go to Tumbler Ridge to provide support after last month's mass shooting. They say in a letter his absence created an unexpected gap in care at a critical time.
So what happened? It all comes down to 2 key letters from IRCC Nolan says he never got.
In late 2024, IRCC mailed Nolan a letter saying they were reopening his permit because they were concerned he was doing work he wasn't authorized to do. When the department didn't get an answer, they made a finding of misrepresentation, cancelled his work permit, and sent a letter informing him to an address in Ireland where he hadn't lived for years.
But I had been updating my addresses through the portal, because applying for PR, you need to keep updating everything.
Months later, that same department sent Nolan an invitation to apply for permanent residence with the backing of his employer and the province of BC. Nolan didn't know anything was amiss until he checked the immigration portal last month, saw his permanent residence and work permit were both denied, and there was a warrant out for his arrest. He quit his job right away and booked a ticket back to Ireland, but his ordeal wasn't over. 2 days later, police and border services arrested Nolan outside a Gastown pub. His husband watched it happen.
And I'm telling the guy, I'm like, hey, if this is the visa stuff, that the information we just got on Friday, we booked a ticket. He has a ticket to fly home.
Nolan was taken to a detention center in Surrey.
For some reason, I was the only one there that had someone on me 24 hours. He watched me sleep. He even watched me shower. And I remember asking him, I would prefer if you don't watch me shower.
Nolan's lawyer said he wasn't able to speak with his client for 11 hours. He believes Nolan's charter rights were violated.
It really did shake my faith in the foundation of rule of law, which as a lawyer to actually be uttering those words, it's not something I expected to be uttering in my legal career in this country.
In a written statement, the CBSA said it will investigate when it becomes aware of an individual who is inadmissible to Canada. They did not respond to Nolan's allegations of human rights violations, citing privacy. IRCC did not respond to our request for information by deadline. Meanwhile, Nolan heads back to Ireland on Monday.
It's just really scary, and I don't know if I could come back to Canada after this, I think I'll need a lot of therapy.
Saying goodbye to the life he'd planned in Canada and heading home to start over. Tara Carmen, CBC News, Vancouver.
Anyone trying to get around by transit in Vancouver over the next few months should plan for delays. Starting March 22nd, TransLink says Expo Line service will be reduced on weekends. The delays will primarily happen during morning hours until 10 a.m. Sunday nights will also be affected from 9:30 p.m. until the last train. The Transit Authority says technicians are upgrading the linear induction motor to try and ensure consistency across the system. The work's expected to finish sometime in June.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
We have Riley Lachuk in for Darius today. And so how is that weekend looking, Riley?
Well, thanks, Leanne. Yeah, we are looking at perhaps a bit of a calmer day on Saturday, certainly a lot brighter as we get through the day on Saturday. So that's more the bright spot if you've got outdoor plans or have things to do outdoors. Saturday, the day to do it, because the pattern change happens. We get back into more of an atmospheric river type of situation as we get through into the day on Sunday. So looking at satellite and radar through the afternoon, a few things to see here. First off, we have high pressure that's building off the coast. That's what's helped to clear things out, kind of push some of this cloud cover out. But also we've had that cloud cover starting to sink a little bit further south into the United States, and some of that precipitation certainly happening south of the border in both the form of rain and snow. And what that will do is all because of the jet stream and where that is situated. So this is a pattern that doesn't necessarily hold. You can see that high pressure starting to build off to the west and more of that precipitation south of the border. But things change very quickly once we get into the day on Sunday. So some of your temperatures through the afternoon, YVR getting up to 7 degrees to the afternoon, 5s through Kamloops and Kelowna, and certainly some cooler readings into the Rockies. I mean, these still are several degrees off of seasonal for this time of the year. I am looking at things slightly closer to seasonal as we get through the day on Saturday. So overnight temperature around 2 degrees in Vancouver, clearing sky, fairly light winds. And once we get into the afternoon on Saturday, looking at 8 degrees, a mainly sunny sky. I'll walk you through some of that precipitation we have on the way when I come back.
Okay, thanks, Riley. And a major component of Burnaby's hospital redevelopment plans appear to be on hold. That story next. The Burnaby Hospital Foundation is speaking out about the province's decision to delay half of the hospital's redevelopment. Phase 1 of the project opened this week, but as Lien Yeung reports, it's unclear when Phase 2 will even begin.
This is the newly opened Phase 1 of Burnaby Hospital's redevelopment plan. At $600 million and counting, it's the first major upgrade the hospital's seen in 40 years. The $1.8 billion Phase 2 is supposed to go here, breaking ground earlier this year. But the province now has that funding on hold, leaving some calling for clarity on the project's timeline.
Our community is very disappointed, and I would say even to the point of anger that somehow they have slipped out of that priority position.
On the border between cities, the hospital serves Burnaby and also East Vancouver, more than 500,000 residents total. Its new facility contains mental health, maternity, and neonatal units, but Phase 2 is supposed to bring a cancer center and 160 care beds.
Our ICU is
is always at capacity. Our emergency is always at capacity. We need those extra beds to serve that population.
The province says the budget for Phase 2 came in well above original plans.
The plan that Fraser Health came up with for the Burnaby Hospital project Phase 2 came in several $100 million over the approved business case budget.
Ma says a panel has since found additions to the approved 2022 plan.
So part of the peer review that was done did identify that the plan as it stands right now actually includes elements that were not included or approved as part of the original business case.
The Hospital Foundation refutes that claim.
The plan currently on the table is within that budget, but these delays are inevitably going to cost more.
The province says it's still reviewing costs. It's not clear when Phase 2 will begin. Lien Yeung, CBC News, Burnaby.
Surrey's first community medical clinics are another step closer to reality. The city says it's finalized lease agreements for clinics in City Centre and Newton. And as the CBC's Saurabh Sandhu reports, the hope is more people will be able to connect with doctors for the long term.
This building in Surrey's Newton neighborhood is one of two locations the city of Surrey has finalized for a community medical clinic. The city hopes it would help people who need non-emergency medical care and who don't have a family doctor. 10 doctors are expected to provide care at each of these two locations in the Newton and City Centre areas.
The city is providing that physical plant for doctors to make their life easier so they can treat their patients.
Surrey is partnering with Total Life Care Granville Medical Incorporated, while the clinics will prioritize connecting Surrey residents to long-term physician care. A limited number of walk-ins will also be accepted.
Obviously, a lot of things are good ideas on paper. I think what we need is an infrastructure and the support to make sure it happens.
The city estimates currently there are 59 physicians available for every 100,000 residents in Surrey, which it terms as substantially low compared to other metropolitan areas.
Sometimes when you call the hospital, they'll tell you that they are occupied, they are not available, they are filled up.
We can do it. I'm quite sure Surrey can do it too.
Last year, Colwood became one of the first municipalities in the province to open a municipal medical clinic. After 3 years of waiting, Colwood resident Shane Eldridge and his wife finally got a family doctor.
To me, it seems because the doctor doesn't have all these other stresses going on all the times in terms of she's worried about the staffing and the rent, and so they're able to focus more upon the patient.
Doctors of BC says more BC municipalities entering the healthcare space to deal with family doctor shortages is a good sign.
We would really encourage to involve specialist physicians as well. Specialist physicians have the same challenges in running a practice in the community.
Surrey's 2 community medical clinics are expected to open by fall of this year. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Surrey.
A crisp, cool night in Vancouver. We'll have a look at your BC-wide forecast. That's coming up. Volunteers in Campbell River are criticizing the city's free takeaway dinner program. City councillors recently voted to extend the program until April 30th. But community groups say they can provide hot, nutritious meals at a fraction of the cost. CBC's Maurice Zeidler has more.
It's a cold and wet night here in Campbell River, so the hot food on offer is all the more comforting for those who need it.
I love the hot meal personally. Yeah, I like it because it's, you know, I don't know, it just shows that they give a care.
Dozens of people are in Spirit Square tonight, all of them here to enjoy some company and a hot meal to help stay warm.
My wonderful fiance made 3 types of soup tonight. We also had bannock provided by the Crazy Indians Brotherhood, and pasta salad, which we've run out of, provided by Carrie this evening.
The hot meals are distributed by 9 community groups in Campbell River.
It's not just unhoused people that are accessing our hot dinners and accessing the soup kitchen that already serves lunch. It is not just unhoused folks. It is not just substance users. It is not just alcoholics. It is people who are single moms, single dads.
Thank you. You're welcome.
The group stepped up after a community kitchen and drop-in center closed last summer. The city tore down the building as part of its downtown revitalization project. In the wake of that closure, the city started offering a free boxed dinner program. City councillors recently voted to extend the program until the end of April at a cost of up to $24,000.
Thanks for doing this.
But volunteers like Sharky say that money would be better spent on finding a new community kitchen to serve more nutritious food. She says local volunteers offer a hot dinner most nights of the week for less than $5,000 a month.
When I heard the announcement of the $24,000 coming out to continue the program, but still no space for us to move indoors, it was infuriating.
No one from the city was available to speak to CBC News on camera. In a written statement, it said the takeaway dinners are not a long-term solution, and it hopes to share more information soon as it finalizes plans to offer a longer-term approach. People here have mixed feelings about the city's box dinners.
I think that it helps when there's days where they don't serve dinner down here.
They give away nutritional food, right? Like it's sometimes it's like spam and stuff like that. You know, like what do you do with that?
One thing a lot of people here do seem to agree on, they'd like to eat inside where they can stay warm and dry. And having a hot, homemade meal on a cold day can go a long way when you're down on your luck. Maurice Zeidler, CBC News, Campbell River.
Statistics Canada is reporting a sharp drop in jobs in February. And given the impact of the conflict in the Middle East and looming trade talks with the U.S., few people expect a quick turnaround. Nisha Patel has the details.
Canada's job market weakened unexpectedly for the second month in a row. Businesses cut positions in wholesale and retail trade, and there were fewer people working in manufacturing and construction. Overall, Canada lost 84,000 jobs in February, one of the sharpest monthly drops ever outside of the pandemic. That pushed the unemployment rate up to 6.7%.
I think the overriding message here is it was very weak at the start of the year. We've seen almost no job growth whatsoever over the last 12 months, and that's not a positive for the economy.
U.S. tariffs have taken a toll, hitting the auto, steel, and forestry sectors especially hard, leading to bigger job losses in Quebec, Ontario, and BC.
Given the scale of the trade actions, the uncertainty that is associated as well as with the trade actions by the United States, that is causing big adjustments in the Canadian economy.
Companies may also be reluctant to hire, with the North American Free Trade Agreement still up for negotiation.
You load on the uncertainty from the Iran conflict and the trade uncertainty as well. I think we're going to struggle to see much job growth in the months ahead.
For job seekers heading out to a job fair at this hotel in Toronto, it means more competition to find work.
I have been sending so many CVs and I got so many rejections, or even people not replying.
Nothing seems to sort of stick, and I'm getting really frustrated because I like to think I'm pretty qualified for a lot of roles.
The weak jobs report comes ahead of the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision next week. The bank is widely expected to hold rates steady this time around, though some economists say the bank may have to consider rate cuts in the future if economic weakness continues. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is on an overseas trip aimed at bolstering Arctic security and strengthening economic ties with Nordic partners. He stopped in Norway for military exercises that troops from NATO countries are staging. The shadow hanging over those exercises? Russia. The CBC's Catherine Tunney reports.
Nestled between snow-capped mountains, this is where NATO comes to train. Thousands of troops have gathered here in northern Norway and in Finland for Operation Cold Response, including Canadians.
It's not the type of adversary that we've been facing over the last 10 or 20 years, not the same adversary as we faced in Afghanistan. So again, it's going back to basics.
Norwegian officials briefing reporters say the overall exercise covers everything from space to submarines. Today, skis. Prime Minister Mark Carney made the trip north to the Arctic Circle to convince his allies Canada is committed to defending the North from Russian aggression.
We will do that by very large investments, some of which we announced yesterday, and we will do that in partnership with our closest allies. That makes us stronger, as does taking more of the responsibility ourselves.
The exercise takes place against a backdrop of heightened international tensions, including the ongoing war in the Middle East.
Do the German Chancellor and the Canadian Prime Minister still believe that the US can be trusted when it comes to security in the North?
Yes. Yes.
The Norwegian PM stressed that despite war elsewhere, pressure must remain on Russia here in the north and elsewhere.
This is about protecting Norway, but by protecting Norway, keeping low tensions, avoiding conflict here, it is net positive for the security of the United States. We believe that is self-interest. So yes.
The NATO exercise here is meant to test Norway's military readiness in case of a potential crisis. Officials in Carney's office say observing the war game will help inform Canada's Arctic strategy. Catherine Tunney, CBC News, Bardufoss, Norway.
The war in the Middle East is intensifying. 6 more U.S. soldiers are confirmed dead after an aerial refueling tanker crashed in Iraq. Paul Hunter now on Washington's efforts to calm down concerns while the war ramps up.
With billowing smoke from some sort of explosion not far in the distance, thousands of pro-government demonstrators marched on the streets of Tehran. Elsewhere, more misery. After what was said to be yet another airstrike by U.S. or Israeli forces. That, as the U.S. now says, all 6 crew members are dead after an apparent mid-air incident over Iraq involving 2 of its military refueling planes.
Again, was not the result, as CENTCOM has said, was not the result of hostile or friendly fire.
One of the jets landed safely in Israel with apparent damage to its tail fin, said U.S. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth.
War is hell. War is chaos. And as we saw yesterday with the tragic crash of our KC-135 tanker, bad things can happen.
As for continuing concerns in the Strait of Hormuz off the coast of Iran,
Hormuz is banned from now on,
where the targeting of oil tankers has all but closed off the waterway, paralyzing oil transit in the region and spiking global oil prices, said Hegseth, in effect, not to worry.
The only thing prohibiting transit in the Straits right now is Iran shooting at shipping. It is open for transit should Iran not do that.
Meanwhile, the war rolls on, but concerns it may further intensify now grow on reporting the U.S. is moving a Marine Expeditionary Unit to the region with more than 2,000 troops capable of land assault, leaving many Americans already jittery over the rising cost of oil and gas, wondering when will this end?
When it's over, and I don't think it's going to be long.
On that, the U.S. president in a phone interview on Fox News.
When are you going to know when it's over?
When I feel it.
Okay.
I feel it in my bones.
Then, on his way to Florida for the weekend, asked again.
How long now do you think the war is likely to last?
I can't tell you that. I mean, I have my own idea, but what good does it do? It'll be as long as it's necessary.
That's Paul Hunter out of Washington. Now, since the trade war with the U.S. led several provinces to remove U.S. alcohol from shelves last year, locally produced alcohol has been enjoying the spotlight. In Quebec, whiskey producers are experiencing a big spike in sales. Sharon Yeung reports from Montreal.
Quebecers have been turning to more locally produced alcohol ever since the SAQ took American bottles off the shelves. But whiskey especially is having a moment right now. According to the SAQ's latest numbers, local whiskey sales more than doubled. And one of the big winners in all of this are the producers of the Rosemont brand, the Distillerie de Montréal.
Our whiskey production has gone up majorly. We've had a whole lot of stock laying in the barrels for a long time, and we've more than doubled our sales. It's one of our best sellers. It's one of the products I'm most proud of. It's something I think we make exceptionally well.
That boost even extends to some of the distillery's lesser-known products, like this honey whiskey, now a bestseller.
Avec la recette du whisky de Montréal, on intègre le miel d'anisette dedans, le miel de printemps, et on fait un style Jack Honey, mais avec du vrai miel et sans caramel et sans colorant.
The SAQ says that the big spike in sales is also due to a lack of competition in the market. Whiskey has to be aged for years and tends to be less popular in Quebec compared to other provinces. So there aren't a ton of distilleries that produce it, and the market is really heavily concentrated on the few Quebec products on the shelves. But the SAQ believes that the local market will continue to grow.
Some distillers are working on new products and will eventually present them to the SAQ to market. We just have to wait and see what they have to offer.
Some soon-to-expire U.S. products are already being sold by the SAQ once again, and some in the industry hope that once those U.S. bottles fully return to the shelves, that the spotlight stays on local producers.
We are very active with SAQ, doing some training with their people in the various outlets so that they develop the reflex of proposing Quebec products as alternatives. And we're hopeful that people will discover that we're making great quality products in Quebec.
Something those at the distillery are also hopeful about as they prepare batches for whiskey drinkers to enjoy in years to come. Sharon Yeung, CBC News, Montreal.
Pierre Poilievre says the federal Conservatives will present their own U.S. auto pact proposal after the opposition leader makes a weekend trip south of the border.
On Sunday, I'll be announcing a new auto pact proposal that will protect the jobs of our country. I say it's realistic because it will do this in a way that will be advantageous to both Americans and Canadians. And that is why I believe we can get the Americans to accept this proposal.
Poilievre is visiting Detroit to meet with state politicians from Michigan and Ohio, plus representatives from Ford and General Motors. After the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Trump's sweeping emergency tariffs, he retaliated with a new 10% global rate. But what does it mean for Canada? We explain. That's after the break. U.S. President Donald Trump is still determined to pursue his trade war, despite a Supreme Court ruling against his sweeping tariffs. So what tariffs affect Canada right now? Ashley Fraser takes us through where things stand and uncertainty about what's next.
So the U.S. Supreme Court recently struck down Donald Trump's sweeping emergency tariffs. It sort of looked like things could be moving in a good direction. But what does all this tariff talk and the ruling really mean for affordability for Canadians?
I would not call this a win for the Canadian economy. I would call it a setback for the U.S. administration.
All is part of a trend line, which is trending against the president in terms of the imposition of tariffs.
Frank McKenna, former Canadian ambassador to the U.S., is also referring to the recent U.S. House of Representatives vote against tariffs on Canada. But does that make a difference?
Does it have a material impact in CUSMA review or where the administration goes next as far as tariffs go? No, it doesn't.
And that executive vice president at the Canadian Chamber of Commerce says it doesn't mean tariffs aren't affecting Canadians right now. Here's our pie to break it down. 90% of trade between Canada and the US falls under the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement, known as CUSMA, meaning no tariffs on goods that fall under that agreement. The other 10% is considered non-compliant, meaning the products do not qualify for duty-free trade. And we'll zoom in on that slice. That's where we have 10% blanket tariffs.
Today I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122.
Days after the Supreme Court ruling, Trump threatened to raise that to 15%. Plus, there are specific industries targeted with higher tariffs known as sectoral tariffs. Those break down into these chunks. Steel, aluminum, and copper remain the highest at 50%. Now, the experts I spoke to say that when you average those tariffs out, the 10% tariff applied to non-compliant CUSMA products, along with the other sectoral tariffs, we get a roughly 5 to 6% tariff rate.
That's really the lowest in the world. So it's only in a couple of areas that we get caught, and we get caught hard.
But just because the sectoral tariffs are a small piece of that pie doesn't mean we don't feel the effects. This economist says no matter the numbers, we are feeling it.
The numbers mean nothing. What he wants to do is hurt us. We are under economic attack in a way that we have never been with anybody in the world.
Him being US President Donald Trump.
Where it hits Canadians is through the producers, to the price of input goods to make the things we need to make.
Now, Holmes uses an interesting example to help us understand this. Let's take this can of beer. It's made in Canada out of Canadian-grown barley, brewed here. Even the aluminum for the can is Canadian. But the actual can isn't made in Canada. It's made in the US, so the aluminum is shipped down.
It pays a tariff as soon as it enters, and then it's turned into a can and we have to buy it back, but now that can's more expensive than it used to be, and that's a big part of the cost. End result, the Canadian consumer is suddenly paying a little bit more maybe for that can of beer.
Confused yet? Yeah, there's the uncertainty of it all.
If we look back at 2025, there were over 50 different changes to the US tariff code last year alone. That's more than one a week. It's hard for me to even keep up with it, and it's most of my job right now.
And even without a direct tariff on a product, that uncertainty hits our economy the hardest. Companies are more hesitant to make long-term business decisions like hiring or product launches, which can lead to job redundancies.
You thought last summer was bad on youth unemployment? Wait till we get till this summer, where you're going to see fewer hirings and possibly more firings because of this prolonged period of uncertainty.
And remember that new 15% tariff I mentioned earlier? That's just an example of how Trump may find new ways to apply tariffs.
They're only good for 150 days, and they can only go up to 15%.
And then under Section 122, it has to get congressional approval to be extended.
We have to think about the end game here. The president is going to be able to restack his tariff wall.
And while Trump continues to impose punishing tariffs targeting key industrial sectors, CUSMA is up for renegotiation. The timing means Trump could use this to his advantage. What we know so far is CUSMA requires parties to meet every 6 years to review the agreement and decide whether to extend it. So far, both Canada and Mexico have said they want CUSMA to remain in place. But just recently, the US trade representative didn't sound like he was pleased with it.
If we want to have that deal, you need to have better rules, stricter rules to make sure that there's more US content in what we have.
So uncertainty continues. But despite that, according to Holmes, relief and reduction of sectoral tariffs, so steel, auto parts, lumber, could come. And that's because of pressure from US consumers.
The cost of durable goods that American consumers are paying for, and the tariffs aren't making it better. And there's data that shows the tariffs are actually contributing to it. And so that over time could weaken where the administration's willing to go or how deep they go on tariffs. Do I think that's going to happen? Not right now.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
Riley Lachuk joins us again with the forecast. So Riley, tomorrow's the day to head outside with the family, I hear.
Thanks, Leanne. Yeah, I was talking a bit earlier about how tomorrow likely to be the better day for the weekend. Well, in fact, it will be the more better day for the weekend because we have high pressure that's built in off of the coast, and that's started to help clear things out, but it's also helped to pull in some cooler air as we've gotten throughout the day, and that's going to keep temperatures below seasonal again as we get through Saturday. You can kind of see where that storm track sits south of the border with our upper level winds. It's really helped to pull some of that moisture south of the border, but also helped to pull in some of that more northerly air through much of northern BC, and actually some of that's starting to pull a bit further south as we get into the early part of the weekend, at least here. But this is a pattern that doesn't last as we get through the next 2 days here. So as we start Saturday, you'll see things really clearing out. So actually a pretty pleasant day for most of the province. Maybe a few stray flurries through the Rockies into parts of the Kootenays here and there. Not talking any major accumulations, but certainly a few snowflakes are possible. Then we start to see this next event moving in, this atmospheric river event, really across most of the southern and central coast will be impacted by this starting on Sunday, and this is something that'll come in waves as we get through the weekend here. So the higher elevations likely seeing this more of a transition over to some snow as we get into the morning hours on Monday, but certainly looking at some significant rain, particularly for the island as we get into early Monday morning. And this is just one of several that will impact the province as we get through the next several days. The longer range outlooks really right through Tuesday into Wednesday showing more of this rain pushing onshore, so prepare for a wet next 7 days ahead. The holdout being Saturday looking pretty pleasant. The potential through Metro Vancouver, 10 to 20 millimeters of rain by Monday morning. Certainly some enhanced amounts along the western shores of the island. Temperature-wise, remaining below seasonal, looking at things around 10 degrees or so on the island and parts of the south coast. And your long-range quick look at this, 7s and 8s into Monday, Leanne, and things start to stabilize, but staying very wet as we get into next week.
Indeed it does. Thanks for that, Riley. Coming up, the CBC's Eli Glasner attempts to predict winners at this year's Academy Awards. He'll tell us which films and actors are most likely to get an Oscar after the break.
Hi, I'm Mimi Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox.
Calling all entrepreneurs. Dragon's Den auditions are back to find the next big thing in Canadian business. The open auditions in Vancouver are on March 14th and March 15th at the CBC Broadcast Centre. For more information and to register, visit cbc.ca/Dragon's Den. And subscribe to CBC's e-newsletter and keep connected with us.
Revs up the crowd as she crosses the line for another gold in Milano Cortina.
Another gold. British Columbia's Natalie Wilkie is racking up the hardware at the 2026 Paralympic Games. She skied her way to her second gold medal today. That's in the women's standing sprint biathlon. She's now won 4 medals at the Games, and she still has at least one event to go. Well, it's also Oscars weekend, and some people watch the Academy Awards for the fashion, others for the performances. And for others, though, the thrill of the Oscars is making the right predictions. With his expected winners, here's the CBC's Eli Glasner.
The Oscars are just around the corner, so we are going to help you with your Oscar pool, taking a look at some of the most fascinating races of the actors, beginning with Best Supporting Actress Amy Madigan. She is the malevolent center at the heart of Weapons. And the Best Supporting Actor category, I love this race, Benicio del Toro versus Sean Penn. I love what Benicio brought to that film, but I think the safe bet is Sean Penn for playing Colonel Lockjaw. Let's move on to Best Actress, and that is probably the safest pick of the bunch, Jessie Buckley, that heart-wrenching performance in the movie Hamnet, playing the wife of William Shakespeare. And then finally, Best Actor. Could it be Ethan Hawke? Could it be Leonardo DiCaprio, or could it be Michael B. Jordan? A lot of people in this town thinking Michael B. Jordan is going to go home with one of those golden statues. We had a chance to talk to the producer about the potential they saw in Jordan years ago working on their first film.
Being in Oakland with Michael, eating a hamburger and fries, and talking about not only that it was an honor for him to have this kind of leading role, but it was a responsibility. And I swear, from that day of us making a tiny movie to us making Sinners, this massive movie that's had a massive reaction, he hasn't changed.
But we can't talk about the Oscars without celebrating the many Canadian nominees, especially in animation. Take a look at Domi Shi. She's back with Leo, which is a movie about a boy being abducted by aliens, but Domi Shi pulled on her own personal experience in high school for that film.
Don Mills Collegiate, like one of 2 members of the anime club in the 2000s, being like, if only I could find a place where people spoke my language, who understood all the nerdy references that, that I referenced every day. And we, Maddie and I just infused the character of Elio with that desire to find a place where he truly belonged.
And when you're looking at animation, don't forget another Canadian director, that is Maggie Kang, the co-director of K-pop Demon Hunters, surely going home with some Oscar gold. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Los Angeles.
Love that Canadian representation. Go Domi Shi and more. That's it for us. Thanks for watching us, CBC Vancouver News. You can watch all our newscasts on CBC Gem as well as on YouTube. Our website, cbc.ca/BC. I'll be back at 11 o'clock right after the National. Talk to you then.